So I think there's two roles to the state senator. The first one is to represent the district and all the towns in the district and work on constituent issues and issues that our towns have, and be the link, be the bridge between the town and the state government. It's often very befuddling. It's a massive set of people and bureaucracies, and we provide access to those people at the state level that our towns need to get work done that they require help from the state. So that's the first thing we do. And constituent services, people who need access to mass health or need housing help or have to worry about their taxes. So that's the first part. The second part of it is the Senate is a very deliberative body, and we are very much involved in policy and in a vision of where we want the Commonwealth to go. And so we sort of set that role, we set that, the stage for that. And so you are responsible for a lot of policy as a state senator, and you're responsible for getting 39 other members to help you to move your policy agenda forward. And sometimes there are a lot of people that agree, and sometimes you really have to work hard to get your colleagues to come on board. And so that's what the state senator does. And we all have committees, and we're all responsible for bills out of that committee. And so it's a much more deliberative process and a much more active body. This is something that I learned when I came to the Senate that I didn't really understand. We all think that we're all going to get there and do great policy stuff, and we're going to have new ideas, and we're going to change the way we do different things, which we do some of about half the time. But the other half is we really stop bad things from happening. And I can give you an example, okay? Well, there's a lot of examples right now, given what's happening at the federal level. But just in the last several years, we have a big issue with housing and homelessness. And there are a lot of families that are homeless that have ended up in hotels because our shelters are full. And the last administration thought that a good way to deal with that issue was not to find more permanent housing, but to make access to homeless shelters more difficult. So instead of, for instance, the requirement that said you need to be fleeing from a domestic violence situation, they wanted to change it so that you had to be in the situation with the perpetrator in order to get access to shelter for you and your family. You had to prove that you were living in a place unfit for human habitation. And you had to prove that you had nowhere else to go. So that meant you lived in a bus shelter for a little while, or your car, or an emergency room. And these were all requirements that they were placing on people who were homeless. So when we found this out, we worked very, very hard with the administration to alter that, to change those regulations back to what they were. And this meant we had numbers of meetings with the housing and community development people. We had to rewrite the regulations ourselves. We publicized what was going on. We became really active in this issue. And in the end, they did in fact roll back everything but having to prove that you live in a place unfit for human habitation. And we're still fighting that battle. To be honest, the part of this job that really feels the best is when I get to help an individual who's struggling or who needs access that they can't get. I think about the family that called me about their son who desperately needed services, and they didn't know who to turn to. And somebody said, well, call your state senator's office. And because of the nature of their issue, the request came to me. And I helped that family find the services that they needed for their son, and to put them on the right path, and also to find support for them. And they were incredibly grateful about that. But the truth is, I was incredibly grateful because I actually got to help somebody. And that's the part of the job that I really love.